Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Afternoon and evening, wherever you're tuning in.
Gosh.
Okay, then. So, to move the mic a little closer.
Mm.
Okay, well, today, the consensus of Stacey and I and all that is what we're up to is that we are just going to share where we are in our lives on today's episode. And where we are in our lives is, as you saw from the title, re-entry and cosmic fuckery. So, why re-entry? What are we talking about when we're talking about re-entry? Where did we go that we need to enter back? Well,
So,
those are great questions.
re-entry does need to be explained. So, let's be really clear about what we mean about re-entry. So, we're specifically talking about when you have allowed yourself and given yourself permission to go on a retreat, to go on a sabbatical, to go into some sort of high practice, like 5D, etc., kind of stuff. And then you are breaking the astral planes and coming back into this 3D world where things get really, really real. And so I guess the first question I have, because Jill and I are experiencing this and have experienced it, but the first question I have is when you go away and do a retreat and you're feeling all like juiced up, all loved on, all empowered, and like all the things, and it's time to re enter into your world, doesn't it seem like everything starts to fall apart? Things go wrong. The power goes out. The internet goes out. Oh, the car doesn't work. I didn't even tell you about our car. We have to get a new tire. More of the cosmic, right? But it just seems, or the kids are just like they're on a whole new one. What is happening right here? Or things go on at work. Whatever the case is, that's the re-entry experience. That is, I think, something we want to normalize because a lot of women, a lot of people will go off and do these things and then come back like, oh, it just ruined my vibe, ruined my high. See, that's why I don't like to go away. No, 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 no. Like this is normal. I shouldn't say normal. This is customary that
Yeah.
there is some cosmic fuckery when you come back. That's just what it is. So that's what we mean by re-entry. Re-entering into your world as you left it when you've now been up leveled, upgraded, up, all the other ups. That's the re-entry we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think so Stacey and I have had lots of practice with this because we've been delving into our all of our stuff for years on years now. And what are we re-entering from this time is I think we mentioned in a previous one, and we will share with you, we are in the highest practice offering of our mentor, Tracy Harward, our teacher of Ishtara, the creator of this body of work that is Ishtara. And so it happens that Stacey and I guess our souls just knew this timing would be now for us to both get to go play in this 8-month program with other very, very high practicing women. And anytime you enter into a space, especially when I have found you're with other teachers and women that are up to some things, a lot can
Mm-hmm.
get opened. So for this particular retreat, which was our opening retreat to this work, it was back during the eclipse, if y'all remember, and we were in the total path of this eclipse. And I will say, for me, so some retreats, as Stacey just said, you are going to feel so loved on, you are going to feel so empowered and all these things. Y'all, this retreat was kind of that experience for me in a lot of ways, but also it was a very difficult one. I know it was very difficult for you, Stacey, as well. We had a night
Hmm.
because we happened to get to share a room. We had a night. We are not sure. Stacey hardly sleeps anyway. Your girl over here, I enjoy my sleep. I sleep solid for a good 8 to 9 hours. But we were not
Hmm.
sleeping that particular night because so much was being activated within our subconscious. Um, so I think that's the other
A
piece of
lot of processing.
a lot of space to let all of the things ruminate. And then this reentry, because we've had practice, I think both of us have been able, that's why we're saying the big cosmic joke here is we've been able to hold laughter in a lot of the things that have been happening in our lives because it's like, oh, I see. I
Hmm.
see. Because
Yeah. And
before,
it's
there's been plenty
easy
of
to get
times
lost in
I've
that.
re-entered. Totally. Totally. Plenty of times I've come back and I've been like, literally in the latter part, like, this is not a joke. Why is this happening? But now I can see,
Oh, yeah.
oh, the patterns
Yeah.
are more clear.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The patterns are more clear and recognizing. We always talk about patterns and we're talking about our own patterns and behavior. I'm talking about the patterns of the universe, the patterns of nature, the patterns of the spiritual realm. You see them so much more clearly when you've done like some high practice spiritual, emotional, psychological kind of work. So here's I'm going to stop talking around it. Here's what happened. What happened was we went to the retreat.
That's so funny.
We had the night that we had, and we may speak about it or not, but indicate that's a whole thing. Upon re-entering this whole 3D life that we live, very abundant, full lives with so many things happening. Jill's planning her wedding and working and running her business and all the things. I'm working on dissertation because I got to be Dr. Middlebrooks by the end of this year, claiming it. Um, and working with my clients and in my business. Like, and yeah, we have things, right? So we come back. I come back to a flood in the basement. In the past, I might have not have seen the connection. It would have just been, damn it, now I got this to take care of. I was on this high and now I got this, whatever, right? Here's the flood. Things just floating around. Just, we're in the flood. Okay, we have that to deal with. Oh, because of the flooding in the basement, you have to do all the drainage, have the people come, professionally clean, new water, disinfecting, purifying, all of the things like, okay, here's the flood washing some stuff away unexpectedly and without my permission, but here it is. And here comes the purification process afterward. Great. Got to get all that done. And the purge as well, because everything has to go. You cannot hold on to what was in the swamp, cannot hold on to what was in the flood. It all has to go. Is there sentimental value attached to that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it all has to go. Has to go. I still have the memories of the things, but the things themselves, they get carted off and put in a big dumpster. And we get to purify and all the things. And we get to make it new again. How do I want that basement to be? What do I want it to serve? Is it a rec room? Is it a relaxation place? Is it a meditation space? I now get to think of all of that. We've always imagined renovating this full house, like taking it down to the studs. Like, okay, now I get to reimagine sooner than I expected what this could be, what the possibilities are because
Oh,
of the
that's real
unexpected
fun.
flood.
That's real fun.
That's real fun. That's real fun. As I can see it now. In a past state, I would not see it that way. It would be irritation, annoyance, frustration, and just all the things, right? Getting something going on with the gas line, like everything's happening. We go out to run errands. Our tire has 4 PSI. 4,
Mm.
not 40, 4. We're like, what happened? We are remembering the day before running more errands. We hit a huge pothole. A whole line of us did in traffic. Boom, boom, boom. What was that? Next morning, we can't go do what we were planning and expecting to do to set ourselves up for the week. Everything is derailed. So, yeah, we have to go take care of the tire and last minute things. So, I'm sharing all this to say this is what reentry might look like for you too. When you're off doing you, taking care of your soul, taking care of your spiritual, emotional, psychological well being, and you come back into this 3D world and everything is seemingly breaking around you, worlds are colliding, kids are acting up, work is just like, blah, what are these people doing? Like all the things can happen. If you can take a moment to step back into that place that you were just in your retreat, and from that place, imagine seeing the patterns. Like, what's in this for me? All of this is here right now. This could have happened before the retreat, could have happened while I was gone, could have happened 2 months later, a year later, but it's happening right now. Is there something in here that I get to look at differently? It is the big cosmic joke of a whole lot of people who go away to these things and you come back and then the whole world is like scorched and burned down or flooded or
Don't
whatever it
you think
is.
don't you think that it also has to do with how much, uh well, maybe not. I don't know. What do you think about
What?
how much joy and jokery and fuckery was actually had at the retreat? Because although we were
Oh my
all
gosh, yeah.
inside this like "Ugh," of all these things happening, y'all, there was a plethora of fun and play and joy, and we were having our
Oh,
own
yeah,
jokery. And so I think for me,
yeah.
that was very supportive to be able to find the jokes upon leaving the sacred land
Yes.
that we were on in Vermont. And shout out to Holden House
Yeah.
in East Calais.
Holden House.
Thank you, Melissa
Melissa
Bruff.
Bruff. Oh, incredible, incredible space that she held, the physical space of Holden House, how she cares for the land of the whole area and how she cares for you, us in this case, in being in that space. I mean, I don't even like to reduce it to like stars, but for those who need that, like beyond 5 stars, like this is the ultimate holding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful shout out. Hey, Melissa.
Hi,
Thank you.
Melissa.
But you're right. There were jokes. There were laughs. There was so much holding and just joy and fun and like little girl joy, just giggles. I mean, all the things that dose of levity, I think was so necessary in
Yeah.
helping our nervous systems be able to cope with what's coming because we didn't know. Spirit realm, of course, is always like in the know.
Mm.
We didn't know what we were going to come home to. We're like, oh, but I also know in the middle of all the how to access the joy, how to access the levity, and to be able to laugh at it going, oh, I was going downstairs to get champagne, by the way. So I'm going to go downstairs and get the champagne. Open the
Mm.
door, go down the stairs, like, oh, well, a river runs
Oh,
through it. Okay. No
oh,
champagne.
well.
Like we get to just giggle and laugh. I know I wouldn't have been able to do that like a long time ago. Everything falling apart around me. Yeah, it would have crushed whatever I got from the
Mm.
retreat or whatever thing I had just been doing. It would have just overshadowed it like the eclipse. Complete total eclipse of everything that had happened
Yeah.
to disconnect me from the miracles and the blessings and the favor and all of the goodness of that experience. It would have all been eclipsed.
Mm.
I'm so grateful that that's not the case. And I'm so grateful to be able to physically point to the eclipse, the real eclipse that happened, and see the patterning that was already in place before I was even consciously aware. Like, oh, a whole lot of stuff is getting ready to get eclipsed. Your plans are getting ready to get eclipsed.
Mm.
Oh, a whole lot of irritation. Like all the things are coming up. This is why it's so important to have post care. Like if you can plan post care, do it.
Post care.
Like that reentry gets to be easeful
Ooh,
with some beautifully intentional post care.
I tell you,
Jeez.
mine has been. Let me just say, I'm so one excited that you are able to laugh about this, and two that you're not like just keeping it. You're shining the light on it. You're letting everyone out here know this is what's up,
Yeah.
which is huge because how many of y'all out there literally would be in this swamp space of the whole basement's flooded? Now I got the tire, da, 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 and you're not going to tell anybody. You're just going to stay in it all by yourself. So even if that's the move where you get to just phone a friend and say, this happened, but let's be clear, you're not going deep into the crevices of the swamp. This happened and now and then, da 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 da. You're able to
Mm-hmm.
hold it. You're able to hold it in a way of like, this is also kind of funny. The Cosmos got some jokes. They are being real funny right now. So I just
100%.
want to really applaud you in that. And
Thank you.
um,
Thank you. That means a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
For us
my
loner bodies who would do it
loner
all
bodies,
alone,
we do it all by ourselves
gonna
until now.
suffer in silence
Oh,
and also celebrate in silence. Like, nope,
all of it.
nope.
You ain't doing
I get
anything.
to shine a light on all of it
Yeah.
because you're not alone.
I I my patterns have been shown really brightly. I also had a really good opportunity to um alchemize, and by alchemize I mean actually in real time feel the emotions of anger, sadness, rage, fear, literally all at one time. Um with something that came up in my life, um, and was able to go outside and quickly breathe through it, cry with it, let a scream out, and then re-enter into conversation um, from a place of with my full heart. And this is these are things that'll come up in partnerships and relationships with your children, with your friends, and so that moment, I was grateful of the work I've done to be able to hold and just like mold and be with these emotions real quick, real time. Um, and there was big jokes with my flight home. And if y'all could have seen me, I know these people are
See,
like, this woman is hysterical. I almost pulled a hamstring. Like for no reason, y'all. These people on this plane, I wish we would all communicate more, meaning the flight attendants and the crew. So, our flight is delayed out of Vermont because the cargo door is not attached, which I find really funny. What baggage could be released? There's a lot within a cargo door of all
mm-hmm,
the things. So,
mm-hmm.
we're delayed. And I had previously booked the flight that would have allowed me 4-hour luxury time in DC airport, no rush. And the airlines, thank you, American, likes to do this a lot and just change our flights. So they changed my flight and put me on a very short 50-minute layover. Well, y'all know with the flight being delayed, then of course, clearly I'm going to miss this flight to Asheville, but I'm holding hope. And I ask them, can you call ahead? Messaging Stacy, let them hold the plane. Because I have seen them hold planes before, I've witnessed it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like, time bending on this plane. I'm like, I'm literally demanding, I'm home tonight, I'm home tonight. And I shoot off this plane so fast, like almost pull a hamstring. I'm going so fast out the gate. Y'all, the gate that the plane was taking off was literally 2 down. So I'm sprinting so fast, I have to literally stop and turn around because it was 2 doors down. I and then the doors closed. So praise goodness, I do not leave this. My app's not updating, and it's like, "Your flight to Asheville is delayed," but it's not updating. Nothing's updating. And I have a tendency to really ramrod when I really want something. As my dear partner likes to say, steamroll. I like to think of it as negotiating. Let's be clear, it's not. It is not negotiation.
Those are two totally different energies.
But that
Negotiate
is what
and
I said.
steamroll.
I
Okay.
said, "No, I'm negotiating here." Y'all, it's not negotiation when it's a one-way conversation about, "This is what I want. Will you pick me up from the airport?" And that's 12, 1 o'clock at night. I don't even know. Because I'm looking at other options for flights. So as I'm in this whole pattern that will show up for myself when I really literally have like blinders on, this is what it is that I want. I just take a look at the gate that was Asheville, and it says departing 6:10. Look at my phone. It's 6:11. I'm like, "Have I been over here negotiating?" Joking. This whole time, and then I missed my flight for real. I run up there. She said, "No, ma'am, we've not taken off yet, blah, 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 blah." Y'all, I get on this plane. It is the same crew from Vermont. I look at this woman. I said, "Y'all could have let a sister know. Like, hey, you don't need to rush. Anybody going to Asheville? We are the crew. Just take your time." She looks at me and says, "Well, half the time, I feel like nobody even notices me." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm noticing
Hmm.
you now. And apologies, I did not." She was like, "Have a good evening. Have a good evening." I couldn't even notice to say have a good evening because I'm literally about to race horseshoe out this, you know, tarmac or not tarmac, the thing. What's the thing?
The jetway.
Anyways, the jetway. So it's lots of things if you can zoom out of like, oh, all these patterns, all of these
So many
things,
patterns. So many
and
disruptions.
in the planning of this beautiful day of our wedding. There's also patterns of, I really want to make sure these women that are standing next to me, that everything is delicious for them. Bless you, Stacy. Of yeah, there's quite something that happens when it's a large event, but a day that holds so much in my heart and for everybody that gets to come in and celebrate with us. So that's a big pattern too. That's up of like,
Yeah.
oh, well, what the heck would
Yeah.
I actually? What's my vision?
Yeah. But
So
just
lots of
so,
things.
I mean, I've shared this with you before. It speaks so much to how big of a heart you have, which is beautiful. And so interesting that this negotiating you, aka steamrolling,
Let's be clear. It's not negotiated.
she is nowhere to be found in this wedding
Isn't
planning
it
with
funny?
all of us. She
It's
is
funny.
like, I'm on vacation. I am nowhere to be found. Jill, you are just all about like what's going to be best for them, what's going to work best for everybody else, which I appreciate because we will all benefit from that. And it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And you do get to notice the pattern too and saying, this is a day where it is all about my desire. Of course, Nick too. We're not talking about that part, but just you in the day. Like this is a day where it is all about my desire, where it is all about the kind of experience I want to curate for myself and my fiance, for our memories. It is about you too. It is about that. And that is not to say come in and negotiate in Jill's
Yeah.
way. But yeah, you get to come forward and going, all right, I'm making all of these things I desire about everybody else, which, we talked about in our episode of events and big things. Um, but also there's the patterning that you get to notice in a deeper way, having come from what we just came from. And even just writing a note so I didn't forget, thinking about your flight coming back. When you told me, like, the cargo door is not attached, I'm like,
That's a joke.
of course it's not attached.
It's the funniest
Because,
thing.
I mean, why would it be? Why would everything be so perfectly smooth, right? And your questions, what baggage could be released. And immediately what comes to mind is, yeah, a lot of times we're thinking of baggage, we're thinking of our own. Like, ooh,
Mhm.
what baggage do I get to release? And, do maintenance on myself to make sure everything is secure that I want to keep in, and the things that I don't want to let out don't get let out. Beautiful. And on an airplane, all of that cargo is not yours. Whose baggage are you still carrying? And can you let it be released? Can you do some self maintenance to ensure that what wants to be kept in gets kept in, and what needs to be dropped right out of the air and released gets to be released? Because it's not all our stuff all the time. It's the story that our brain tells us is that it's our stuff. It's not. It's somebody else's stuff. So what can you let go of? But that's part of the re-entry. And very interestingly too, remember I had all the cosmic jokes going on the day before I'm supposed to arrive. All of that was happening. Long story short, my flight got canceled. And because of a storm on the whole eastern seaboard, everybody could get me like to Boston or to Delaware, but then I'd be stuck there. No seats on any flights, 12-hour train rides with like one ticket available. Like it was just mayhem. I did not sleep that whole night from 9:22 p.m. until 1:11 p.m. the next day, the next afternoon, just arranging and rearranging and all the things. So sometimes there's chaos in, I'm sorry, other people are talking like I live with one person. Who are the other people talking? Because here's part of the reentry. Because of all the flooding and all that, they have to come and look at the gas lines and all that. So I'm checking to make sure I don't miss the call from the gas person, because they told us, here's your window.
Yikes.
And if we call you and you don't answer, then we will not come. Okay,
Will
great.
not be there.
We will not come. You'll have to reschedule. But anyway, yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's the whole thing of chaos before you're going to do some really powerful work. Be prepared for that too. Like, it could look like I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to go and take this time for myself and do what I need to do for my own well-being, for my business, for my family. Like, I don't get to go and up level because of all the things. The plans got canceled. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. Whatever is going on. And obviously feel into it, because sometimes that is a strong message. Like, no, that's not for you
Yeah.
right now. Don't go. But when you don't have that and you're very clear, like, oh yeah, this is for me, I need to be there. Watch what you get to conjure up. Watch what you get to create, and notice the patterns of what you're creating leading up to the entry point of your event. And then, of course, as we've talked about, the re-entry back into your 3D plane of life. There's a lot of messaging that we miss. A lot of messaging that we miss. I feel like we get to all slow down, pun intended, be still and breathe, and just watch the patterns that are right before us, our own patterns, and then the patterns of the spiritual realm unfolding right before you. I don't feel like the spiritual realm is like into tricking. We call it trickery and all that because it's funny, but everything is by design. The pattern is there and it continues to repeat itself. It echoes over and over and over again. Can we stop and just notice the patterns and really see how we can work with the pattern instead of fighting against it? Like, can we be in the swamp? Is there something in there for us? Oh, it's swampy, it's dirty. I don't want to be in it. Oh, I don't like these feelings. It's too overwhelming. Blah, blah. Can you be in it? Can you be in it? Trusting that there's something in it for you, that this was brought to you for a purpose, for a reason. Can you find some levity in it, if nothing else? Like, of course, of course. There's always, I shouldn't say always, in most cases, there is some levity to be found.
Yeah. I think how we can close this out is in this particular conversation is really truly hanging on, wrapping a hug around this is not happening to me. These things are happening for me, specifically when your
Yes.
body and your being, I'm about to leave and go. Like your subconscious is activated knowing you're about to leave and go to this retreat. There's all of these things that will get just like stoked like a fire when you
Mm-hmm.
go. And then as you exit, there will be more. So how can you play with what's in it? What's in here for me? Like dig around a little. Find that gold. Find that bright light. This has been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to
Hmm.
talk about this stuff. We'd love to hear from all of you. Like, what's resonating for you? Have you been in situations where you were getting ready to go off to do some big things and everything started to fall apart before you left? Or while you were gone, everything was falling apart? Or when you came back, everything was falling apart? One, has that happened? And then two, what did you do? What did you do? How were you being in those moments as you became aware of things falling apart? How were
Mm,
you showing up in life for yourself and for anyone else that may have been around you? And going forward, if you're letting yourself be aware, consciously aware of the patterns and how you show up when things are falling apart and all of that, um, is there anything you could do differently? Is there anything you can do to lean in more to what is and not fight so hard against what is because we're so focused on what should be or what shouldn't be? Can you lean into what is and see if there's any possibility that there's something in there for you, a golden nugget, some piece of wisdom, some levity in your life? I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious to
mm,
see what's resonating and if any of this has ever happened to you and what you did and how you showed up. And
yeah.
can we all commit to planning some post care, pre care and post care for our big events?
So
That would be
important.
cool.
So important.
Yeah.
We're sending you love. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week. 11:11
Love
p.m.
you.
Eastern.
Bye.